Hello, everyone. You start every time with a laugh. I don't understand why.
Because I was just trying to figure out what you were doing there.
For it. Well, I forgot to do something. So
Okay.
I'm on it, though. Welcome, everybody, to check in. Looking forward to this on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in the city of Winnipeg. Game 80. Yes, it is not here in town. Final road game of the regular season for the Winnipeg Jets. They are playing in Chicago tonight, and there is a lot on the line.
Yeah, this is my favorite part already. James Robinson. Only 3 games left in the season. I'm still waiting for the Jets to beat a team above them in the standings. Well played, James. Especially when you're first overall pretty much all year long. So well played. Golf clap for that one.
For it. I'm Sarah Lusky. He is Jamie Thomas. If you don't know that already, we're so happy. Want to see all of you in the comments in the chat right now. Let's get chatting about what we've seen from this Winnipeg Jets. You know, BTO, Winnipeg band.
Yes.
Yeah. Had the famous song, Taking Care of Business.
Right.
You know who's been taking care of business lately?
The Winnipeg Jets, Sara Lusky.
Oh, especially in that game against Dallas, which was pegged as the biggest game of the season up to that point, obviously, because going in just 4 points separating the two teams. We know what was at stake, and the Jets came out and certainly delivered.
Yeah, so I don't really think Dallas was in that one at all. I had concerns because of the way they had played. They had blown 3 third period in a row. I thought they'd come out a little more than that, but that is a testament to how well Winnipeg played, and just execution-wise, it was perfect. And, you know, there was limited opportunities to score. I can think Maverick Bourque had a couple of scoring chances for Dallas, but outside of that, not much. And then the fact that a lot of the Jets' goals came off turnovers by Dallas that were forced turnovers by the Jets, and the Jets' transition game came back the other way and scored. It was masterful to watch. So they're 1 point away from a Central Division title and the Western Conference title. So there's a lot on the line this evening in Chicago. But just, you know, you have to applaud them. And of course, Connor Hellebuyck, 45th win, franchise record, 8 shutouts.
Breaks his own record.
Yeah, all this stuff now is all him. And you have to love the fact. So Kyle Connor hits 40 goals for a second time in his career.
Yep.
Yes, Amy, Morgan Barron has been unreal. Second straight game. And it's another power move to the front of the net.
He has looked so strong when since being placed in the middle.
Yeah, it's the right idea. And Jared Anderson-Dolan gets his first point as a Jet. There's a lot of things to go through. Mark Scheifele, career high in points. Kyle Connor, career high in points. It just speaks to how great of a season this has been. It's been a team effort, and that was a team effort on Thursday in Dallas as they pretty much have locked up the Central Division crown at this point. I don't want to jinx it at this point. There's a lot of things that could happen wrong, but it's just they've been great.
They have some post-game comments from Scott Arniel. So first off, it was a physical game as well.
Yes.
40 hits through the first 40 minutes. Guys recognizing what's at stake for us, liked their battle, but I like this. Maybe the one thing that's kind of been happening here with Dallas right on our tail is that we have to play this same sort of heavy, hard hockey that we have to play starting at game 83. Yeah. And it's kept us sharp right to the end here.
Well, Dallas has kept them sharp too.
Of course.
So the pressure from them coming from behind the whole time. But it's just, to your point about taking care of business, is just like they were ready. And Kyle Connor was wondering about the consistency that they've been struggling to have from game to game. It carried over from Monday into Thursday. And you're hoping it carries over into Chicago this evening as well.
Absolutely. We have a great next 30 or so minutes.
Great show.
Oh, great.
Great. Because I booked the guests. So.
Okay, go for it.
Grant Clitson.
Former Winnipeg Jet.
Yeah, he'll be joining us. He'll have lots to talk about how this team is growing. Of course, talked about the 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs. Grant didn't get a chance to play, but was around, obviously a big part of that. And of course, another former Winnipeg Jet, Ed Olczyk, will be here. Listen, you have a great question to ask him, and I think it's okay to preview it. It's just why Scott Arniel is not in enough high up on the list for the Jack Adams Trophy for Coach of the Year, and it's a legit question.
Well, I think so, because you look, I think, especially after the narrative over the last couple of days after Winnipeg's win in Dallas, is that has Connor Hellebuyck locked up the heart? We knew the Vezina was already going to be his. That's just a matter of time. So, but with the way that he played in that game, the way that he has been playing, you talked about the 45 wins. I mean, he has personally more wins than over half the teams, I think, in the league. But what we don't hear a lot of talk about is Scott Arniel for the Jack Adams for top coach. And I think that when you look at the odds makers around there, so many, I mean, the overwhelming favorite is Spencer Carberry, who has done,
which is like this, he deserves that.
The job that he has done in Washington, because as much as people did not anticipate the Winnipeg Jets to be potentially President Trophy winners and winning the West, I think you still had a lot of people that expected them at the very least to maybe be third in the Central, maybe in one of those wildcard spots. You didn't have a lot of people anticipating a complete miss, whereas I don't think many people expected Washington to be around at all. It was all going to be about whether or not Ovechkin was able to get close or break Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record.
That was the primary focus.
And so for them to be one of the top teams in the league throughout this entire season as well, a tremendous job. So nobody's taking away from that. The question being, though, when you look at the way that the Jets have played this season, so consistently throughout the entire season, they started 15-1 NHL record. They won 11 games in a row. They, are on the cusp of having the lowest goals against average again in the NHL, something that hasn't happened in back-to-back seasons for a team in over 20 years. You've got career years for players. You could just go on and on. I don't see how you aren't putting Scott or Neil in the conversation more. It's a very long-winded answer, but
so here's another thing. We've talked about this a lot too. Is just like the good coaches get the best out of their players when they're struggling, and their struggle periods have been very minimal.
Yeah,
that's good coaching. Yes, it's a good team, but it's the system that's in place. It's also the coaching job that's done. Arnie's put together a great coaching staff to help in many aspects in the special teams department. So I think that should be given more credence to what everyone else is like. I have full respect for Dean Evison. I have full, what he's done in Columbus with all the injuries and everything they had to go through the start of the year. That should be given note of as well. But it's not what. I'm sorry, a lot of people did not have Winnipeg leading the entire National Hockey League.
Right.
Period.
No, for sure.
So even though it's a good team, it's still not what people were expecting. That's good coaching.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll talk about that and some other stuff with Eddie. I always love when he loves Winnipeg.
Yes.
So he always speaks passionately about the city, loves being here. So we're looking forward to talking to him. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so let's talk about quickly, though, this game here tonight. So the Jets did not practice yesterday. They had the day off in Chicago.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know? I thought for sure they don't practice. So what would be great? A morning skate would be great
to help us out.
But no, alas. So we will go by what the lines were in the last game, and these were just projected lines for it. Haven't been able to see whether or not there was any media availability, but maybe if you take people quickly through what we saw last game, I will take a quick look.
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, it was the return of Neil Pionk to the Jets lineup. He slotted in alongside on the right side of Dylan Sandberg. That pairing looked fantastic. Luke Shen and Logan Stanley played extremely well. Josh Morrissey had a couple of assists. And then you throw in the return of Nikolai Ehlers, who not only did he return to the lineup, got into another fight. Cannot be undersold whatsoever with Sam Steele. Did not like the takedown in the corner at all. It was quite dangerous, actually, what Sam Steele did to Ehlers, so I can see why he was defending himself. So the eighth fight of his career, and now you got to know him a little bit, I'm like, he's going to fight him. He's going to drop the gloves. And lo and behold, they win the gloves. And he handled himself just fine. So, and then the little head shake going back to the bench was elite from Nikolai Ehlers in that aspect. So what do you got for us? Is there anybody saying
No,
anything?
So there hasn't been any sort of availability today. So we're just going to have to go off of projected lines. But you and I were discussing this beforehand.
Right.
So obviously the Jets play back-to-back. They're Chicago tonight. They are here at home against Edmonton tomorrow.
Right.
At Canada Life Center, 6:00.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So does Connor Hellebuyck start this game tonight because you are looking for that 1 point and you want to clinch as soon as possible?
Right.
Or do you put Eric Comrie in this one and hold Connor Hellebuyck until tomorrow? And while you're thinking about that, we want to hear from all of you in the chat as well. What do you think?
That's a good question.
Which one would you go with?
Okay, so you guys, Rich Girl, we're going to go with you. And that was a quick response by you, by the way. You have to play Comrie. That was an elite answer of a quick question, Rich Girl 79. So that's the Comrie from Wild Bill. I think so. We thought about this. I think you go with Hellebuyck. Comrie today.
Yeah.
Hellebuck tomorrow against the Oilers.
Okay.
No Leon Draisaitl for the Oilers. Still, I just think you're completely confident in Eric Comrie, and especially the way he played in Vegas.
Yeah.
Get it done tonight, lock this all down, win the Western Conference, and so on and so forth. But
Matt's saying depends on who plays Wednesday. Well, our anticipation is
that
it's going to be Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Because you're not starting the playoffs until the weekend.
Yeah.
And so he's not going to want to go an entire week without playing, is what our anticipation is. People seem to be pretty torn on those ones. So we will have to wait and see, but maybe we can discuss it a little bit more later on as well.
Well, our first guest of the afternoon has joined us. He knows a little something about the city. He's a good guy. Oh, it says new guy in the corner. I like that. So new guy, welcome to the show. It is Grant Clitson, former Winnipeg Jet. First off, Grant, welcome. How are you doing? And how excited are you about the Winnipeg Jets this season?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to see you, Sara and Jamie. New guy is just paying homage to Rick Ralph, who gave me that nickname when I first came to the Jets.
But I got to tell you, Grant, that there are very few nicknames for Jets players throughout the years that have stuck more than new guy. Because as soon as you say new guy, any of us that were around back in there immediately know that people are referring to you. That and then Mittens, and which I think might have been a Rick Ralph one as well, actually. But
yeah, he had some good ones. Yeah,
he sure did.
I'm doing good, thanks. Yeah, really excited about the Jets. I mean, it's been a fun team to watch this year. The consistency, pulling for a lot of the guys that I used to play with, and real happy for Scott Arniel and Marty Johnson. You know, guys that I have relationships with as well. So it's been fun to watch this year. I think they're playing at the top of their game, and they're just consistent. They seem like they're on a mission.
So first question, of course, I know Sara informed me you didn't get a chance to play when the Jets made the playoffs for the first time in 2015. But what do you remember about the city and how excited it all was when it was coming down that year?
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, I had some pretty cool experiences in Winnipeg because I was there the first year the team came back. And as the nickname suggests, I was like kind of the first new addition to the team since the whole team had come in. So that was cool as well. And then being there for the first playoffs with the Jets back in town, I unfortunately had my back injury, so I wasn't playing, but I was in the press box for the game. And I remember just having goosebumps. Like the volume in the arena was something I'd never heard before. It was so cool just to see, the whiteout, everybody dressed in white, the energy around the city. It was something like I'd never experienced. So it was really cool to be a part of.
You mentioned that there's still guys obviously in this organization on the roster that you played with. So when you think about where the organization was and what we saw in the product on the ice in the early years when you were here at the very beginning to what we see now and the development of those core young guys that were coming up and drafted when you were a part of the organization, what stands out to you most about just maybe the evolution of what we've seen?
Yeah, in terms of on the ice play, I think probably just consistency. I think you've seen a steady development over the years of the players, like Adam Lowry and Mark Scheifele, guys that I played with, that were young guys coming into the league when I was there, and now are established leaders and having fantastic impact on the team and in the league. And I think a lot of that comes from the organization. If you look at from Mark Chipman all the way down, Kevin Cheveldayoff, like these are guys that have been there since day one and exhibit that consistency, live that consistency, and they have an expectation of what they want on the ice. And I think the players are buying into it. So I think just this year in particular, there's just been kind of that added level of professionalism where the guys are just dialed in. It's like they know what their role is. They know where they fit on the team. They know how the team needs to play, and they're doing their job every night. And that's the hallmark of a professional. So it's impressive to watch.
Grant, you mentioned Adam Lowry, now the captain of this organization. Did you see that ability from Adam when you first started playing with him all those years ago? And then also, how important is it for every guy in the dressing room to have a voice, in your opinion, which is something the Jets have been working on?
Yeah, I think you never want to have everything coming from just one player. I think it's good to share the load. Leadership is is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders. And I think if you can do it by committee, you're way better off. And I think there's a good group of guys in that room that have the ability to do that with the experience they have and the character they have. And, Adam, when I played with him, you could tell from day one that he had that leadership ability, the way he handled himself off the ice, the way he prepared on the ice, just his attitude towards the game and how he approached it was always learning. You could tell was very intellectual when it came to studying the game and understanding systems and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely you could see the leadership capabilities from an early age.
It's one of those ones that if you didn't know that he was the son of a former NHLer, as soon as you find out, you go, oh, well, that makes sense. Because just with the way that he carries himself. Grant, for those that haven't been following along, what's keeping you busy these days?
My kids, for sure. I got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old that are both in a bunch of different sports. 2 boys, and they're busy, so that's fun. But I'm actually working for a water management company now in Ottawa, WMC. So that's it's a lot of fun. I'm in the business development side, and we're helping grow our company and eventually spread across Canada. So it's been keeping me busy.
Well, and in Ottawa, I mean, that's got to be a lot of excitement in that city right now, too, with the Sens being back in the postseason.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long time coming, and there's a lot of buzz around the city. They're talking about resurrecting the Sens Mile down on Elgin and getting
nice.
the city buzzing again. So it's great to see. It's good for the organization as well. I think they've had some tough years, and with the new ownership change and the young core players that have been there for a long time, to be able to make the playoffs this year is awesome.
And we've seen this before, haven't we? And it stands right here in this city as well. So good for the Ottawa Senators. Grant, great for you, and I'm glad things are going well for you, and looking forward to talking to you down the road.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Grant.
Oh, I cut him off.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Grant. You can take that out of me next time I talk to you. Grant Clitson joining us. Also was part of the CJOB broadcast for a long time. Love his analysis, and I love the new guy thing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was great. That's one that
was Rick Ralph like the master of nicknames.
Yes, very much so.
All right, I've known Rick for a while, but I didn't realize that was one of his.
It absolutely was with TSN Radio. He did a fantastic job with it. So I'll have to text him afterwards and let him know that he still got the shout out from Grant, and the new guy will live on forever. It doesn't matter how long we go. Looking forward to having Ed Olczyk join us just momentarily, but just before we bring Eddie on, just a quick note from the Chicago side. Obviously, things have not gone well for the Blackhawks at all this season. Really disastrous and disappointing in so many ways. But of note for today, Pat Maroon playing in what is expected to be his final game. It's the Blackhawks' final game at the United Center, and so they still have a couple more games, but I guess it appears, from what I can tell, he's not going to play on the road, so a lot of emotions for him. And as a player, you and I were talking about, obviously he had an impact against the Jets in 2019 when he was with St. Louis. He won 3 Stanley Cups in a row, but I love what we saw from Pat Maroon throughout his career, and you hear such good things about him as well. So kudos to him and claps on a great career.
Great guy, and also another great guy as we bring in Eddie Olczyk, who's been a tough guy to track down lately. It seems like he's busy. I don't know why. Seems to have a pretty good career in front of him right now. So Eddie Olczyk joining us now. I'm just hopefully going to switch this so I can see our good friend. There he is. There you are. Right per sec. Good to see you, Eddie-O.
Hi, Sara. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Eddie. So where are you today?
I am in Seattle. I have
I
have one game left with the Kraken this season. They host the Blues, which I think maybe 5 days ago, I think everybody just thought, well, it's a given that St. Louis is going to make the playoffs and maybe catch Colorado, and maybe they still might, but they got somebody breathing on their back right now called the Calgary Flames, and so it's obviously a huge game for the St. Louis Blues. So yeah, I'm here tonight, and then I have a national game down here in the States on TNT. I'll be in New Jersey for the Devils and the Red Wings on Wednesday, and then I'm waiting for my assignment, and I'm not sure if the Jets are going to play on Saturday night, but we'll maybe I don't know what the deal is, but I'm hearing some rumors and speculation that the Jets could be playing on Saturday night, game 1. So we'll see.
Well, we are very much hoping that you are assigned to this series, Eddie, as always. When you just look, I mean, you mentioned obviously once your work with the Kraken is wrapped up in this regular season and you turn your attention full time to TNT and the postseason, what is it now? I mean, a week away from it. How excited are you when you look at these potential matchups? And I know that so many of them have yet to be decided, and there's a lot to go and a lot at stake for the final 2 or 3 games for so many teams. But how pumped are you when you look at these potential matchups to get this postseason going?
Yeah, Sarah, it's like, as you both know, I mean, it's the greatest time of the year. And, this probably is for Arnie and his staff, and, for Chip and the entire organization and my buddy Zinger there. I think everybody's just wants to get to the finish line and then, drop the puck a week from now or whenever they, end up playing. But I think that's right across the National Hockey League. But to your point, Sarah, there's still some things in doubt throughout the National Hockey League. And, maybe, like I said, 7 days ago, 10 days ago, you kind of thought that there were certain teams that were guaranteed to get number 1 spots or home ice. And all of a sudden things have changed. I mean, look how much things have changed in Dallas here in the last, 5 or 6 games, and considering that unbelievable game the other night against Vancouver. So, for me as a broadcaster and a former player and a coach, this is what you live for. This is why you put in all the work in training camp, all the travel, all the conversations, all the, pre-scouting and scouting that I do on a nightly basis. And hopefully it'll come, come full circle. We get the Stanley Cup final this year on TNT, which, this will be great. So this will be our second one. We share obviously with ESPN. So this year we get the Cup final, and considering the momentum, I think the league and the game, and when I say the game, I'm saying, the young people that play hockey, both boys and girls, and all the different leagues, is the momentum that came off of the Four Nations face-off. And now we have a chance to take it to another level come playoff time, and then go for the greatest trophy in all professional sports. So very long-winded. I can't wait to get it going, and we're just waiting for the schedule to come out, and then we'll be able to make our travel and figure out where we're going and how long I need to tell my wife I'm going to be away for, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so at the end of last year, Eddie, a lot of the Jets talking to the media after the loss to Colorado in the opening round of the playoffs was they want to be 1 to 5 to 10% better. Mm-hmm. What in your mind has the Jets improved the most upon from last year?
I would look at Arnie's done an amazing job. I think he will be one of the finalists for Coach of the Year. At least he should be. He will get one of my votes for sure with the job that he's done and his staff. And, I think just from watching and doing a couple of the Jets games this year, it just feels like there's confidence that if Scheifele and Connor aren't creating and generating as much as the fan base and some media expect them to do every night, they have other players within their lineup that and that need to do that. And I think that's what I've seen, is that, they've had some guys step up in a major way. Their defense is very, very strong. And look, you got the best goaltender in the world in Connor Hellebuyck. And look, there's pressure. There's no doubt. I mean, for Connor Hellebuyck, I mean, he has to step up. There is no other ways around it, because as you both know, and when I worked with the great Doc Emmerich for 16 years on the NHL and NBC, we had a little kind of tongue-in-cheek phrase together where, when we talked about goaltending, one of us would tee it up and say, you know what, when you get goaltending, you got a shot. And when you don't, you got no shot. So you got to get that consistent goal from whoever it is, regardless if it's in, Winnipeg or Colorado or New Jersey, you need to get the goaltending. So for me, Jamie, I just think that when I watch them, they look like a more confident team on the offensive side, other than just the guys you expect to do it and get paid to do it. And obviously they've done it, as well as any, especially 2 guys in Connor and Scheifele, as well as any duo here over the course of the last 5 years in the National Hockey League.
Eddie, you mentioned that Scott's going to get one of your votes for Jack Adams. And I wanted to ask you about that because we were discussing before you came on earlier. I think that at least north of the border over the last couple of days since that win against Dallas in particular, there's been a real push of the narrative that Connor Hellebuyck should be getting the Hart as well. Has he locked it up?
Yeah.
And so the Vezina is going to be his. Could he get the Hart? But I said, you don't still hear much about Scott Arniel being in as one of the real contenders for the Jack Adams. And I think so many people talk about Spencer Carberry and what a great job, obviously, he has done with Washington. Yeah. But why do you think that maybe Arnie's gone under the radar a little bit? Because I'm surprised with, even if I didn't cover the team, I'm surprised with the way this season has gone.
Yeah.
That we're not hearing more about him. I mean, I don't understand how he can't be considered a finalist for.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Sarah, I think it probably has, I think it has a lot to do with what's happened in the past there in Winnipeg and having unbelievable seasons, being near the top of the league in a lot of different categories, but obviously most importantly points. But I think I don't know, rightly, or I should say rightly, wrongfully, sadly, however you want to look at it, maybe the coach, and we got to put Bones in here too. I mean, maybe just get overshadowed by the guy in goal,
Yeah.
That just might be it. Look, I think I would be surprised if Craig Berube and Scotty Arniel aren't in the final three. That's just my my gut feeling and my kind of my feeling on on how this thing will kind of all break down. And look, I think Spencer Carberry is obviously the favorite with the year, because I don't think anybody thought that the Capitals would have the season that they're having. Yeah. Now, I will say this, is that they did go out and address their back end. They got some experience on the back end. Logan Thompson, who's obviously banged up right now.
Chikrin.
That's kind of that was solidified over the course of the year, the way that he played and Charlie Lindgren had played. But I mean, maybe just getting back to with maybe Arnie not, and I would agree with you. We've talked about it some on TNT, and I mean, both myself and Kenny Albert have brought Arnie's name in. Yeah. And look at Arnie's a friend. He always will be. We played together. Obviously, they're in the PEG. I think he's done an amazing job. And, I think the transition to, in fairness, and we all know last year, and you guys know better than anybody, with a lot of the things that Rick Bowness was going through last year. I mean, Arnie, he was able to implement, and he was handling a lot of the schematics. And so, it really wasn't, I don't want to say it was that hard of a transition, Sara and Jamie, but I think that, he already had I'll say maybe 3 fingerprints on what was going on, and not all 10, so to speak. So I would be surprised. I would be surprised if he's going to get consideration. I know that, but I think maybe just getting overshadowed because of the way that the success the team's had here recently, and obviously a guy that is going to win the Vezina and is going to be a finalist for the Hart Trophy for the MVP in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many you look at so many players that have had career seasons, but obviously, it starts in net and works its way out with the job that Connor.
Yeah, this is historic numbers. Was it?
It's unbelievable.
Carey Price, right? Is that who was the last MVP, right? Carey Price?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's happened. And, I actually thought, I remember last year I was, I was touting Connor for MVP last year. And I think, if you look at the numbers, the inside the numbers, probably a better season this year, which I would hope that he would get consideration. And now look at, we got some, you got some great, there's some great players in this league. How is, if you, and I know McKinnon's hurt right now, but look at Cale Makar. If you take Cale, what is the definition first off? And everybody has a different definition, and that's okay on the MVP. But when I look at Cale Makar on Colorado and go, I'm going to take his 30 goals out of the lineup or whatever, 15 goals, or if he doesn't have, is Colorado, are they battling for home ice with Dallas in the Central? Maybe not. Maybe not. And look at, they've had a lot of injuries, as all teams do. But I'm just saying, it's like, well, how do we get to the point is that if you take a guy out of a lineup, what happens to that specific team? And I think that should be a part of the equation. And as I said earlier, when you get it, that being goaltending, you got a shot to win. If you don't, you have no chance to win. So I think you have to weigh it in a certain way. But when you look at domination and numbers with skaters and defensemen and goalies, it does make it very difficult. But I would look at a guy like Cale Makar and go, he's had an MVP season. I don't care what anybody says, whether he's a finalist or not. He is, obviously, we know he's super important, not only to Team Canada winning the Four Nations faceoff, by the way, which, you know, I'm happy for my friends north of the border, but I'm always cheering for the red, white, and blue because I know where my butter is breaded. If you know what I mean.
Hey, we will butter your bread up here when you come up. Should the TNT send you up as well?
I am hoping that you are coming up on the series that we cross paths, Eddie, because you and I can then have a lengthy discussion at a different point about the definition of the heart. Because the most valuable player, you say people have different definitions. It's the most valuable player to your team. It is not the most outstanding player. It is the most valuable player to your team. Greg Button and I had a very lengthy discussion about that.
Jamie, I've learned this over the years. Besides the lovely and talented Diana Olczyk, who I've been married to since 86, 88. I don't want to do the math right now because I'm getting up there, and that's a lot of years. Yeah, I don't want to have the lady next to you angry with me ever. So I will just say, Sarah, I hear. And when I talk to people, I hear a lot of different definitions for the MVP. I'm not arguing with you. I'm on your side.
I know. It's so frustrating to me,
She is terrifying. That's all you need to know. Like, I work with her every day. And when she's mad, holy cow, which is
hey, I'll tell you, you're lucky. Okay, you're lucky. Just so you know.
Eddie, we appreciate the time so much, and it said we sincerely hope that we see you here in Winnipeg and covering a Jets series, whether that be in the first round or maybe in June here in Winnipeg.
I am planning on it. How's that? Please say hi to everybody. Give my love to everybody in the peg. All right.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Eddie.
Jamie.
Appreciate the time. All the best. Eddie O.
One of my absolute favorites.
Honestly.
Yep.
The best.
Yes. He is.
And Zinger will tell the best stories of Eddie O. Like, there's like a million I won't go into, but you should listen to one of the podcasts I had. Craig, Eddie O told a story about the horse track in LA. Anyways, go way back for that one. We don't have time for that because it's Saturday and the focus should be on the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah. So just quickly as we wrap up, a great guest today. You did a great job.
Well, while you were busy,
I'm just going to let you do it. I'm just going to let you do it from now on.
You were busy doing all that stuff that you do. All the like home ice and runway and
which a new runway, the final regular season runway debuts tomorrow. We will have a trailer for you in the in check-in as well. Right. But looking forward to this final episode. I think you guys will love it. Very quickly, the Jets playing their final game of the regular season on the road tonight in Chicago. First game.
The projected line
sure, let's do it.
Yeah, there it is.
First game back to back. There was no morning skate, so these are going, and there was no practice yesterday, so these are going off of Thursday's game. But a lot of debate, we could say, whether or not it seemed to be very split in the comments as well. Should it be Connor Hellebuyck that starts tonight? Do you think it will be Eric Comrie? Both. I mean, you can't go wrong with either choice. It's really just a question of which one will get the call tonight at the. And then the other one obviously will be in net tomorrow here at Canada Life Center against the Edmonton Oilers. And then there will be, when you include tomorrow, 2 regular season games left. And the Jets will conclude their regular season schedule on Wednesday at home against the Anaheim Ducks.
Just a quick preview for tomorrow. Dennis Bayak will be joining us on the show, and Cam Moon, the radio voice of the Edmonton Oilers, also on the show. But I haven't talked to Dennis in so long. Saw him in Penticton in the fall and can't wait to have him on the show tomorrow.
Right. He has been, as much as we miss Dennis, a tremendous amount, he has been enjoying retirement a great deal. Every time I text him, I cannot catch him often in this country. He is always traveling and out and about. So looking forward to being able to hear from the one and only Dennis Bayak tomorrow.
Obviously. So that's it. Big game tonight in Chicago. Blackhawks on the outside looking in everything, but this is most important for the Jets. 1 point. They have first in the Central.
Put up your graphic.
1 point. Hold on.
Because they had.
Watch this. Fun little ditty here. Okay, so
just
I got to
before
do this
we wrap.
first, and then I got to do this.
Okay, so as you look, I mean, just the 1 point. They can get it as well.
Yeah.
should, with any result in the Stars Utah game other than a Stars regulation win.
Right.
So
but
the magic number is 1.
Take care of business.
Of course. That's what we always say. The best way to do it.
Thank you.
BTO, taking care of business.
Thank you. I
Every
appreciate
day. Every way.
that. She's going the whole song. Awesome.
Thanks so much for joining us. It's so great to see so many of you in the chat. We hope that you join us tomorrow again. Dennis Bayek will join us, Cam Moon, as well as we get you set for the game tomorrow night against the Edmonton Oilers.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks for checking in.